Well, both consumers of that technology as well as competitors were totally blindsided by this forced litigation. And that's the ultimate in sunsetting. And depending upon your perspective, this might have been disruptive to your workflow if you were a consumer of that technology, or it could have created an opportunity if you were a provider of a competing product.
Hello, and welcome to At the Forefront Fintech Conversations. I'm Sam Belden, VP and Head of Content at Forefront. And with me today for the second time on At the Forefront is Jeff Estella. Jeff is the founder of Estella LLC, where he provides consulting services to the financial services and legal communities based on his background in the asset management space. Jeff, welcome to At the Forefront.
Sam, appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, of course. Glad to have you on. So the last time Jeff and I spoke, we talked about trends and priorities that were top of mind for capital markets firms heading into 2024. Today, we're going to focus on a specific topic, which is technology sunsets and forced migrations. And what got me thinking about this topic is there was a report last month from Anthony Malakian and Elliot Jones of Waters Technology that the London Stock Exchange Group plans to sunset its REDI execution management system in favor of its TORA EMS, both systems having been acquired by LSEG in recent years. So, Jeff, I know that you bring a unique perspective on this topic, not just from your experience as an industry consultant, but I know that you were actually a user of REDI during your days at MFS Investment Management. So tell us your reaction to this news and how you see the REDI sunset playing out in the months ahead.
Yeah, Sam, thank you. I certainly have lived the technology sunsetting in my career firsthand, as well as through the eyes of my clients. It's interesting, when you think about, REDI execution management system, this was truly a walk down memory lane for me. I was a user from 2009 to 2013, have vivid memories of the early mover advantage that REDI had versus its competitors around order routing and market structure, dialogue, and education. As you touched upon, the ownership structure and timeline of REDI is interesting. Goldman Sachs, Thomson Reuters, Refinitiv, and LSEG now. And at the time, REDI was truly, a differentiated offering. It was really based upon their innovation and their great customer support model. Really, two interesting facts there are right from the Bloomberg's playbook. What are the next steps with the REDI sunsetting, the timeline, the deadline? What does that mean? What's interesting here is, yes, the report was out. They've notified clients. And in my opinion, there's plenty of runway for REDI users since it's not going to be officially sunsetted to the end of 2025.
Great. Thanks for that overview and that walk down memory lane, as you referred to it. So you mentioned that there's plenty of runway for this one. I know that, there are lots of examples of forced migrations over the years, and not all of them have involved that sort of generous runway. There's a lot of diversity as far as what they look like and how the industry has needed to respond. Maybe can you tell us some other examples of technology sunsets that come to mind, how they came about, the impact, and any insights that you've kind of learned in your career having witnessed some other migrations?
Yeah, sure. I look at the, sunsetting examples from two perspectives. It's really from my personal life and professional life. First, on the personal life, call me a geek. I love smart home gadgets. And post Google's acquisition of Nest web cameras, Google notified all owners that they were going to sunset certain older Nest hardware. And what did that do? It forced the user base into either considering alternatives or buying upgraded cameras. The consolation prize with Google is they did offer discounts on the upgraded cameras to, stay within their walled garden. Another piece was, all of us have the Easy Pass toll transponders on the car. There was a time a few years ago that they kept automatically updating that hardware and sending me new ones unsolicited. And then finally, the infamous spreadsheet, through a combination of software sunsetting and better competitive products. I personally jumped from using VisiCalc back in the day to Lotus 123, and obviously in the world of Microsoft Excel at this point. Moving from personal into professional world, in 2015, there was an interesting situation that took place in the industry, and it was really a regulatory surprise and a forced litigation in India. Some call it the ultimate in sunsetting. The Securities and Exchange Board of India determined that a company, Omnisys Technologies, misused preferential access to the Indian exchange data, really for the benefit of their client base and their clients front-running prices on the exchange. Why is this important? Well, both consumers of that technology as well as competitors were totally blindsided by this forced litigation. And that's the ultimate in sunsetting. And depending upon your perspective, this might have been disruptive to your workflow if you were a consumer of that technology, or it could have created an opportunity if you were a provider of a competing product. Two other examples of sunsetting. We all lived through Y2K. That was well telegraphed. Many applications were sunsetted, rewritten, or updated. And then in the REIT world, data centers, a data center landlord can force their tenants to move to a new physical location. What does this mean for them? Well, most of those tenants would take a prudent approach and consider buying new hardware for the new location. This definitely comes at a cost, and it will offer the ability to run in a parallel environment at that new location versus taking the risk of a hot cutover with the existing equipment. And then finally, a real world example of my prior employer. We used an equity order management system called XIP. Virtu assumed ownership of this application in their acquisition of Investment Technology Group. Much of XIP's customer base identified other solutions in the marketplace, such as Charles River. It was apparent that Virtu was investing less in the platform. This wouldn't be the textbook definition of an application sunset. One might refer to it as an aggressive dimmer switch. Through effective internal collaboration at the firm I worked at, we kicked off an investment technology review that led to the following items. What was the order management system in the needs assessment? What was the market valuation of products that could replace XIP? We went through a vendor selection process, contract negotiation, and finally implementation. And what was crystal clear of that exercise is we made the correct decision to get of any potential sunsetting that could have been forced upon us. And what I refer to that as is controlling your own destiny.
Great. That's a great point. I think one thing that you sort of illustrated in your response there is the diversity of technology sunsets, and that they can take all different forms. They can happen in personal and professional life. They can stem from regulatory forces, business forces, as we see with LSEG, I assume. They could stem from, something that's wholly different from that, as in the case of Y2K. But when you think about all of these different examples, are there any primary challenges that industry firms face sort of across the board when it comes to sunsetting an old system, having to migrate to a new system? And how should firms respond when they are faced with an unexpected sunsetting event?
Yes, Sam, there are certainly plenty of challenges from the consumer side. When I work with my clients, I really focus on asking the following questions. How can we stay nimble and maintain the ability to pivot and reprioritize in an unexpected way? How does the application sunsetting impact the firm's broader technology initiative, the forward calendar on rollouts or enhancements? What does it mean to the budget in both the human capital resource side of things, and then up and downstream interconnectivity of existing systems, such as an order management system when we're talking about REDI execution management system, other risk systems, compliance, pre and post trade, custodians, transaction cost analysis, extracts that are created, fixed connectivity engines. And then some firms have a supplemental trading relationship where that provider has a login or an instance of that order management system or execution management system. So that's really the up and downstream interconnectivity that's important. And then finally, what are the unintended consequences of creating what are the unintended consequences that the sunsetting creates? Is it an opportunity to reassess policies and procedures? Is this an opportunity to consider about process improvement? And I'm a true believer that the vendor offered alternative may not be always the best choice. REDI users might consider a multi-asset class solution to future-proof their business needs. Tora, the proposed REDI replacement, has been Asia-Pacific focused, and some feel that has a smaller client base than many of the competitors in the marketplace. And the real question, should I as a REDI user accept this alternative or leverage the announcement as an opportunity to shop for alternatives? And when you think about alternatives, who stands to benefit from this REDI news?
Hmm.
The obvious ones are Bloomberg EMSX, FlexTrade, Virtu's Triton, Portware, and Trading Screen Imagine.
Great. Appreciate that overview. And I think that's a powerful point. This idea that, a technology sunset might be disruptive on the surface, but if it presents an opportunity for your firm to improve its processes, improve its approach, adopt a new system that might have been too disruptive if it were, an optional migration, but since it's forced and they are incentivized to move in that way, they can maybe reach a new efficient way of operating more quickly than they would have otherwise. So I think that's a great point that you made. We've obviously talked a lot about this from a client perspective, a user perspective. Maybe give me the other side of the view and tell me about the technology provider perspective here. What are they thinking about when they are making the decision about whether to sunset one of their systems?
Yeah, there are two perspectives on every decision, and I think it's important to equally look at both of them. From a technology provider, their perspective is interesting, right? They may sunset an application for any one reason or a multitude of reasons. It could be profitability concerns, them not being competitive in the marketplace, lack of demand for the product, or having a competing product and can use the phrase sunset that language with current clients to soften the blow of a forced migration. The other interesting part is, the technology provider, really could see benefits by sunsetting if they think about what are the client's needs and the needs to put a deeper focus on the client's tech stack and support model. This is an opportunity for a technology provider to get deeper into that client relationship and potentially help in a broader way. And the providers also focus on the concept is where does the application reside? We still have applications in the industry that are on premises. They're in, the data center of the client. And that is challenging at times. And so these technology providers have to weigh the balance of on-premises deployment or a cloud or hosted experience. And the cloud-based solutions are vital from a technology provider's perspective in a number of ways. It's scalability, version control, cyber resiliency, ease of implementation, licensing and user access controls, and all of these really drive profitability. And then finally, some vendors may use this as an opportunity to increase the pricing model to clients. We've all seen that in our personal life with all these apps that we continue to subscribe to and how these streaming services continue to jack up prices. And if we like that offering, we continue to pay it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great point. And so, given all of this, the forces on both sides of the equation, as you referred to it, what can consumers of technology do to prepare for these situations and make sure that they can adapt most effectively when a technology sunset does sort of cross their radar? What can they do to sort of guard against surprises and make sure that they're ready for the unexpected here?
Yeah, a few suggestions on how to prepare for a sunsetting surprise. First off, inventory all technology vendors and categorize them by business criticality. Leverage your procurement and legal department to identify terms and conditions in the existing contracts. Ask how easy it is to offboard that application or break a contract. Update your risk assessment dashboard to include more than simply like version control, business continuity, or outage remuneration. Proactively add who are viable competitors and really establish that business criticality score. It's really going to, when you look at the entire enterprise, and if you have highly critical applications in different verticals of your business, it's time to diversify. And then really encourage the business unit leaders that are using these applications to be aware of alternatives and have them build relationships with other vendors in the marketplace and the leadership teams of those vendors. And then the final piece is really leveraging third parties that might be closer to the competitive landscape. In my time, I really leveraged Gartner, and their Magic Quadrant has been very helpful to me. If you focus on the upper right, they call it the Leaders Quadrant, and these are the providers that can both execute and have vision. In third-party applications or third-party research is very helpful.
Outstanding. No, that's great. And I think, like with anything, being prepared is your best battle armor against really bearing the brunt of that disruption. And so, as you said, really engaging with the wider competitive landscape for all of your mission critical systems, making sure that you are keeping on top of what's out there. There's a lot of great research firms and consultancies doing really great work. You mentioned Gartner, Greenwich, Coalition Greenwich is another one that comes to mind that we've done some work with over the years. So there are a lot of smart people providing intelligence about everything that you will need to consider when a forced migration does cross your radar. And so it makes a lot of sense to take in some of that information ahead of time, make sure that you are ready to adapt when the unexpected does occur. So thank you for that overview. I want to shift gears a little bit. We have time for one more question, and I know a relatively new offering of yours at Estella LLC is your expert witness services, and I believe that involves working on behalf of financial services clients to help courts understand complex industry topics during legal proceedings. So what can you tell us about the specific services you provide there and your approach to that work?
Sure, Sam. Expert witness work has been a fascinating growth vertical of my broader consulting business. Really, to level set, your viewers and listeners, it's important to define what an expert witness is and how I got involved. An expert witness is simply a truth teller and a practitioner. Consider this person sitting at the intersection of financial services and litigation. We live in this world of legal disputes, and with my trading focus, there's been interest in my services. And examples of litigation topics in the trading space are securities lending, block trades, meme stock class action versus retail brokers, best execution, syndicate offerings, technology outages, intellectual property disputes, and in the retail world, product suitability and account churning. And when you really think about the parties that are involved, it's any combination of technology vendors, asset managers, asset owners, brokers, exchanges, regulators, retail clients, and retail brokers. So any permutation of those parties could be, potential parties in a litigation dispute. In my time as an expert witness, I've experienced numerous items, and a couple of key ones to focus on here are the attorneys that have retained me. They're domain experts in the law. What's interesting and humbling is they really value my experience and knowledge of what happens in practice. And the combination of the domain expert in the law and the experienced practitioner has been beneficial. Some examples of deliverables that an expert witness may provide is they could help formulate the complaint or statement of claim. They can review the discovery documents. They can write a declaration on their views of the facts and circumstances. They can write an expert report to get deeper into their opinion of the complaint. They can read the opposing side's expert reports. They might write a rebuttal report against one of the opposing experts. They could provide deposition testimony and potentially testify at trial. And a common question that I've had from different folks in the industry is how do lawyers find an expert? And the key piece is word of mouth. That's been my number one success. I network with both large and small securities litigation law firms, so we get to know each other, and we really have awareness of where each of us are focusing on in the marketplace. Industry groups as Securities Expert Roundtable has been very valuable to me. And another source of introductions have been the forensic and analytical firms such as Analysis Group, Charles River Associates, Cornerstone, and Kroll. And then what's interesting is in Washington, the SEC also retains experts in certain situations for both research and enforcement actions. And when you boil all this down in the expert witness side, what's been really fascinating is that, my two separate client bases, my consulting client base, my expert witness client base, find my collective offering is very accretive.
Fantastic. Appreciate that overview. We at Forefront, we work with a lot of clients who have chief compliance officers, general counsel who add a legal perspective and a legal expertise in a financial services context. So it's interesting to hear about your work to add financial services expertise to a legal context, sort of the other side of the coin there. So appreciate that overview and appreciate all of the time and insights that you shared with us today, looking at technology sunsets and forced migrations, looking at some primary examples of that, both from your own career and throughout the industry, and thinking about all of the considerations that go into that from both the client and consumer perspective and also the provider perspective. So thank you for your time and insights around that. If you'd like to learn more about Jeff's work and his as well as his expert witness offering that he touched on near the end of the episode, you can go to EstellaLLC.com. And for more episodes of At the Forefront like this one, you could go to forefrontcoms.com. That's comms with 2 M's. And you can go over to the news and insights section for more episodes like this one. So once again, this has been At the Forefront. And Jeff, thank you for your time today.
Thank you.